everybody. You asked for it, and you're getting it. It's another Metal Monday on the Morning Night Live, but I don't know. I don't know if it's appropriate to do Metal Monday when I'm going to spend most of the time talking about Bernie Sanders. More like Stone would be more appropriate, but they don't have a music genre called Stone unless you're talking about Sly in the Family Stone. McFly. Anyway, welcome to the Morning Night Live. Here's the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Stop the music. Like I said, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. It is February 24th, 2020. A very happy Monday to all. I am your host, Marty, also known as PDawg Knight, same as the name of the channel. And it is Metal Monday. Yes. It is Metal Monday, but we're going to probably have to turn the music off for a moment here and there just so we can listen to this interview. We're going to watch this Bernie Sanders interview on 60 Minutes. We're going to spend most of our time on that. And then we'll get into some of the articles revolving around it. And hopefully we'll get into a couple other things today. But first, let me say good morning to everybody. Now, Zombie Teddy, you were in fact first. You do get the bell. And I don't count in that counting system. So there you go. Also, good morning to Avocados Diabli, Becca Farley, Chi-Town J, Mike Savage, Shia Graff, Chicago Mike, Green Thunder to Mighty, Sean DW, Duck Dog, Daryl Parnas, who else? Jay Wolf, how you doing? Patrice Ripley, Keenan, and everyone else who's rolling in as I speak at the moment. Now, so there's this, Anderson Cooper did an interview with Bernie Sanders that was aired on 60 Minutes. And if there were just some gems throughout this interview. And so I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, I'm going to have to go through it because, now some of the articles that I'm pulled up, I haven't quite read yet, probably going to be similar to some of the points I make, but I just don't know, man. Good morning, Cynical Lindsay. How you doing? God, this interview, what's so good? Just reinforces to me that we do not need to have Mr. Sanders as our president. Now, I already knew that, and I'm not changing my mind on that. But I've got to say, we just don't. Oh, just say Sean because it's easier. Well, okay. I can do that. Sean, good morning. Oh, good morning, Kessler. Good morning, Renovasio. This interview, it confounds me in some ways that people don't get why this man would not make a good president. And first of all, I think the bigger problem with Bernie, if he won, I don't know that there's anything that he's proposing that would actually be implemented by anyone, unless maybe possibly Medicare for all, which I personally think is a bad idea. But I don't get it. So we're just going to go through it. We're going to watch the interview. I'm going to stop it here and there, and we'll get into it. So let me make a couple clicks here. Yes, it is Metal Monday. And let's see, what else? Someone else play some Band Made for Metal Monday. I don't know what Band Made is. All my metal is going to be stuff on my music service. So it's I don't know if these guys are from, all these musicians are pretty much from Denmark, and they just make a bunch of non-copyrighted music, and it's actually not bad stuff, but you know, that's just how it is. All right. So anyway, and good morning, RVA. What's happening? So we're going to turn the metal off for a minute here, and we're going to watch this 60 minutes interview. And I just hope that you all can stomach it. I don't know if the commercials are going to play while I'm doing this strip. It's a 13-minute interview, roughly 13 minutes and 31 seconds. And I'm likely to draw this out. So it may or may not be the only thing we get to today. I don't know, but I really wanted to check this out. So hang on a second. I just made a second. Before I do that, let me remind you that the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, please, please. Oh, I didn't even do my tweets yet, did I? Well, here, I'm going to click those out. There, now I've sent my tweets that tell you that we're here. You know, you could, if you want to make sure, Becca Farley, who's in the chat, does a much better job of tweeting out my show than I do. And so you might want to follow her on Twitter also. In fact, I'm going to put her link in the chat today. You can retweet her today. There you go. And again, thank you, Becca. Also, good morning to Irish Rose, D.I. Freighter, The Useless Rebel, Maddie's House of Geek, Cracked, and Prospero. Good morning. So, how are we doing? Comrade Sanders. Okay, I see that in there. And hell, uses Rebel. That's a new one too. Okay, anyone in here who's coming maybe for the first time, by the way, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can do that right below there. Make sure you hit the bell so that you get notifications. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, right over there it says Twitter, Minds and Gab. I'm at PDawg Night at all three of those entities. If you're on any of those pieces of social media, you can find me there, and I tweet out the shows on there too. So thank you also to Skookum, G Prime, Maddie, and that's everyone who's tweeted out so far. Also, please sure hit the like button if you like what you do, and you can do super chats if you absolutely need to get my attention. You can do that through super chats in the Streamlabs link, in the link down below, because this show is sponsored by viewers like you. Support the show with your donations and have your super chats read live on the show. Click that link, which it says in the chat, PDawgNight.live. And speaking of which, James Colley is in the house. How you doing, my man? With a super chat already. Thank you very much. Wish I could catch some more of these. Stay awesome. Well, you stay awesome too. You are awesome for throwing in a few bucks in the tip jar. I really appreciate that. It's going to go a long way, especially after my anniversary weekend. I hope maybe I'll talk a little about my anniversary weekend too. It was great. Lady Boomer and I had a great time. Just doing kind of chill things too. It was a really good time. So Lady Boomer and I celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary this weekend. So anyway, all right, let's get into this Bernie interview though, because it's precious. I got to turn the music off, though. Sorry, guys. It is Metal Monday, but we're not going to play metal during Bernie's interview. All right. Let me find it here. Hopefully, there won't be too many commercials in it. I might have to trip through those. But again, I'm going to be stopping this fairly often because there's a whole lot to it. Good morning, Jaeger Pony. How you doing? All right, here we go. So this is the beginning. Now, right off the bat, Anderson Cooper kind of tells you what kind of this interview is. Well, okay, wait a minute. Anderson didn't do a terrible job, but he did do a great job. It's a pretty softball interview, but what do you expect? It's a Democrat being interviewed on 60 Minutes, so not a shocker. But anyway, here we go.
Bernie Sanders had an impressive win last night in the Nevada caucuses. He also won in the New Hampshire primary and leads the Democratic field in national polls. It's a stunning turn of events for a man who calls himself a democratic socialist and is the first to admit he's been preaching the same populist, progressive message for decades.
I don't know if it's stunning. I don't know. But he definitely has been preaching the same The same thing for decades. Yes, he has. And if there's any points I will give to Bernie Sanders, he's consistent for the most part. Although, in this interview, it's almost like he, not that he was disavowing anything he said in the past, but he sure really didn't want to talk about things he said in the past. Anyway, you'll figure that out as we go along.
As the mayor of Burlington, Vermont, then a U.S. congressman, now an independent senator who caucuses with the Democrats, Sanders has been arguing that the very rich should pay higher taxes so that everyone can have health care, education, and a decent paying job.
Now, interesting. We're going to find out how much more the rich should pay in this interview. Oh, wait. Or will we? We'll see.
Sanders is 78 years old and is filling arenas with huge crowds of young, enthusiastic supporters. He's used to being the underdog, but now grudgingly has to admit in the Democratic race for president, he's the frontrunner.
Okay, now why? Why does he grudgingly have to say that? By the way, thank you, Don Keatic. Yes, Don Keatic. Don Keatic, thank you for the super chat. Congratulations on 27 years old. Thank you, Don Keatic. Oh, the names. You are special, Don Keatic. Now, wait a minute. So why does Bernie have to be grudging?
Years old and is filling arenas with huge crowds of young, enthusiastic supporters.
Now, what's interesting about that also, filling arenas. Yeah, not quite. Donald Trump is filling arenas. Bernie Sanders has a large, enthusiastic following, but they're not filling arenas. The arena in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for example, they showed pictures of the arena from a very weird angle, but they didn't show you that they only had half the arena open. I think, could Bernie, well, I don't know, could Bernie fill arenas? Probably in some areas. In New York City, sure. In Vermont, sure. In California, sure. I don't know if he's going to be filling arenas anywhere else, but we'll see. I don't know. I think he has some momentum, but remember, we've had three contests so far. 2 in caucus states, which for Bernie should be better because his following is much more passionate, and I think his base is much larger than any other Democratic candidates. But I think they're limited in scope also. Oh my gosh, Sean, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yes. The answer to your question is yes. Oh my gosh, Sean, that's terrible. Okay.
He's used to being the underdog, but now grudgingly has to admit in the Democratic race for president, he's the front runner.
Grudgingly? Why? You should be ecstatic that you're the front runner. You should be ecstatic that after all these years and all these times that you were trying to run for president, including 2016, 2012, that you're finally gaining some traction and you're the front runner now. You should be happy about that. I don't know why. I'm not sure why he used that word grudgingly, but maybe let's listen to the interview.
The story will continue in a moment.
Okay, that's where they had a commercial, and they're going to throw one at me now.
After your entire career to now be the front runner of the Democratic Party.
Yes, that is a bit shocking. I will agree. I will agree with you there.
It's shocking to me too, people. Trust me, it's shocking to me too.
The Democratic Party has moved to you, if anything.
In many ways, they have. And the ideas that seemed radical 4 years ago are now kind of mainstream.
No. Mainstream is an interesting word. I think mainstream. Mainstream amongst your crowds. Your crowds are full of college students and people you know what? What was the name? Does anyone who remembers the name of the band that he had? Was it in Iowa or in New Hampshire where he had the Strokes? Okay. Mainstream among the people who would go to a concert by the Strokes. Maybe. But to the majority of Americans, I don't quite think so. Yes, everyone. Oh, but I do have to admit, everyone likes something for free. And so that's what's Bernie's selling, that everything's free, but it's fantastic. Or fantastic. It's a fantasy. Excuse me. I almost said fantastic. I did say fantastic. It's a fantasy to think that well, if you've ever read his platform too on his website, some of it's kind of scary, but I don't know if mainstream would be the word anyway.
The ideas are still pretty radical. I mean, you've been saying with Pride that you're making a lot of people nervous. You said Wall Street's getting nervous, the insurance industry is getting nervous, drug companies are getting nervous.
The Democratic National Committee is getting nervous.
And the Democratic establishment is
getting
nervous.
That's what I said.
You know what? They should be getting nervous.
You're also making, though, a lot of Democratic voters nervous.
I don't think so.
Yes, they are, because I think they are beginning to realize that your base is limited and has very little crossover appeal. But anyway, let's find out.
Look, you have a lot of candidates out there, and each candidate has his or her supporters.
But a lot of voters are voting for candidates who aren't calling for Medicare for all, who aren't calling for a revolution. Is everybody really wanting a revolution like that?
Let's go easy on the word political revolution. We're trying to follow.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Go easy on the word revolution? Hang on a second. Oh, no, it's later in the interview. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that word. We're going to be worried about the word revolution. Revolution. Anyway, good morning, Seamus Derby. How you doing?
The one who's used the word.
I mean, but I don't want people, to overstate that. But here is the point.
Why don't you want people to overstate that? Because you have some constituents, or people who would like you to be president, who really like that word revolution. And in fact, there may be a revolution outside the Democratic National Convention if you're not nominated. So we've heard.
It's not good enough to complain, oh, I cannot afford my health care. I can't afford child care. I can't afford to send my kid to college. I'm paying half of my income in rent. If you're not happy about that, you got to be involved in the political process.
What?
I can't afford child care. I can't afford to send my kid to college. I'm paying half of my income in rent. If you're not happy about that, you got to be involved in the political process.
Well, wait a minute. I've heard people say, "Oh, I can't afford my health insurance, can't afford my rent." What are you doing about it? Is it the government's job to do something about that? Is that poor planning? Is that do people? Look. When Lady Boomer and I were a young, struggling couple, we had to make a budget of what I do, and maybe we had to not. I remember we did not have cable. When we bought a house, and we're like, you know what, we got to cut some. Do we need cable? Nah, we can just rent movies, or we can we can go pay $1 to go to Redbox or something. It's not like. Oh my God, he's going to say something about, he says something later about people living paycheck to paycheck. Great. All right.
Only millions of people standing up for justice can bring about the kind of change that this country requires.
Oh, good point, Green Thunder Mighty. You can't afford half your income in rent, so give half your income to the U.S. government, who will spend about 2/3 on bureaucracy before they give it back to you. For every dollar that goes to the government, I wonder how much get spent on the people managing the money to go somewhere else before that, and how much is left over that actually goes somewhere else, because they got to pay all these people to give the shit to somebody else, right? Oh my goodness.
And I believe that has got to happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sanders says the change he envisions most closely resembles Scandinavian and European countries with democratic governments and comprehensive social programs.
No. I gotta find the article. The people from the there's an article. Who did I read that? There was an article from someone from Denmark who's like, oh no. It's nothing like us. It's not like us. He's not talking about we are. It's funny because I also saw a tweet from somebody, or no, it was a comment on somebody else's video about this, saying, in Germany we have all this stuff that Bernie's talking about. No, you don't, and not the way he's talking about it. Yeah, it's 60 minutes. I might get copyrighted on it. I don't care. I'm obviously doing this as a newsworthy event on a news station. I can certainly justify this as fair use. Okay, I'm obviously doing commentary on their interview. So, if it ever went to court, I absolutely would win. So, anyway, and good morning, by the way. Check your logic, and also good morning to Richo. All right. Wouldn't it be the sharpest knife in the drawer? Yeah, it would be correct. Anyway,
But that's certainly not how President Trump has characterized it.
Well, I think he's a communist.
And it's not just President Trump. At the debate this past week in Las Vegas, this is how former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg responded to one of Sanders' proposals to require greater employee ownership of large companies.
I can't think of ways that would make it easier for Donald Trump to get reelected than listening to this conversation. It's ridiculous.
And he's kind of right. Because what was somebody up there was proposing, well, that all companies should be 20% ownership by the employees. Well, in theory, maybe if they gave stock options to their employees or whatnot, by their choice, but to have the government require it, that's kind of un-American, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Ridiculous. We're not going to throw out capitalism. We tried that. Other countries tried that. It was called communism, and it just didn't work.
Oh, it hurts them to hear that word. It's so hurtful. Oh my goodness.
Shot that he said, what's going to happen on the stage with President Trump? He's going to be doing shots all the time on you on this.
And you know what? We will fight back, and this is what we will bring up. We will bring up is that the President of the United States is a pathological liar.
What the hell does that have to do with them saying you're a socialist or communist? What does that have to do with anything? What the hell does that have to do with anything? That doesn't even make any sense. Okay, so you're gonna bring up that the president is a pathological liar. What are you gonna bring up? The Washington Post Trump lie ticker that itself is a huge lie. It's a bunch of bullshit. My God. Let's see how many lies Bernie tells in this 60 Minutes interview.
And it is increasingly clear that many people just don't believe anything that he says.
Okay, but still, what about the communism? Whoops, my Google thing went off. Stop that. What about the communism charge, Bernie? That's not telling us anything. What about you being a socialist? Tell us the difference between democratic socialist, whatever you call yourself, democratic socialist. Tell us the difference between that and just socialism. Tell us what you think the difference is, sir. I'm just curious.
He is a fraud. I look forward to taking him on.
What is democratic socialism?
When Donald Trump was a private businessman...
Okay, whoa. Listen to the question and listen to the answer.
It's increasingly clear that many people just don't believe anything
Listen
that
to
he
the
says.
question.
He is a fraud. I look forward to taking him on.
What is democratic socialism?
When Donald Trump was a private businessman in New York, he got $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies.
Wait a minute. What was the question again? Wait, that's what's the question?
New York. clear that many people just don't believe anything that he says. He is a fraud. I look forward to taking him on.
What is democratic socialism?
When Donald Trump was a private businessman in New York,
What?
he got $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies to build luxury housing. That's called corporate socialism.
Okay, hold on. How are tax incentives, tax breaks by a government? How's that corporate socialism? Do cities or municipalities or states or federal governments give tax breaks to do what? To bring jobs to an area? Is that corporate socialism? Or is that using the power of government to bring more jobs to the people who live there? How is that corporate socialism? Real quick, thank you, Maddie, for the super chat via Streamlabs. Maddie says, it's the only thing they have against Trump. Think, if they keep calling him a liar, everyone will eventually believe it. They don't have any counterpoints. Bernie can stuff it. Yeah, baby. Yes, Bernie can stuff it. No, that's just a game that they've been playing. They're still using the Russia thing on Trump. They're still using, he lies all the time. Well, the economic numbers don't seem to lie. At least I don't think they do. Any worse than they did during the last administration when they changed how they count unemployment. But they're consistent with the last administration's way of counting. So let's just keep counting them that way so we can make a comparison. Do the numbers lie? Okay. Whatever comes out of Trump's mouth, his hyperbole, whenever he uses hyperbole and the Washington Post calls it a lie, or he gets a number he rounds a number and they give the exact number saying it's a lie. Okay, well, the exact number still is a number that you can't dispute. So whatever. Thank you, Maddie, very much. And someone was asking me, not Don Key Dit. It was Don Key Dick. Don Key Dick. Don Key Dick. Anyway. Let's see. Thank you, TC Ball. But the Russia story supporting Bernie bros are getting a taste of their own medicine. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is. That whole story is kind of bullshit anyway. But anyway. All right, let's keep going here.
What democratic socialism is about is saying...
Oh, by the way, so he just said that... So a business getting tax breaks to create something within your city, he called that corporate socialism. Socialism? No, not. And in fact, look, tax breaks aren't socialism, and politicians write in tax breaks. If you don't like tax breaks, then stop writing them in for businesses or whatever. I don't know. It's just stupid.
Let's use the federal government to protect the interest of working families.
Use the federal government to protect the interest of working families. That sounds great. It sounds so noble. But if you destroy the economy in which working families live and work, are you protecting families by doing that? And that's the thing. We'll get into his numbers in a minute.
Back in the 1980s, Sanders had some positive things to say about the former Soviet Union and the Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
And everybody was totally convinced.
Here he is explaining why the Cuban people didn't rise up and help the U.S. overthrow Cuban leader Fidel Castro.
And he educated the kids, gave them health care, totally transformed the society.
We're very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba. But it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing? Even though Fidel Castro did it?
There's a lot of...
Oh my God, let's throw Castro a line. Mr. Sanders, when Adolf Hitler took over Germany, he had some great youth programs too. He had literacy programs. He also killed a bunch of people. They killed, between him and Che Guevara, they killed a lot of black people. They didn't like black people for some reason. Remember that, Bernie? Oh my God. How we also threw people into labor camps when they disagreed with us. Oh, come on, Bernie. Come on, dude. Bro. Bro. By the way, did you like the title? Bernie? Bernie? Bro. Yeah, that was a take on Bernie Bros. Anyway, if you didn't catch that, bro. God.
Dissidents imprisoned in
That's right, and we condemn that. Unlike
What? When did you condemn it? Show me a clip from you praising Cuba where you condemned the bad things in Cuba until now. Hang on. Let me go back a little bit here.
massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Even though Fidel Castro did it?
Yeah, you know what? Hitler also built the Autobahn. That was a pretty cool thing, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. You know what? Kim Jong-il has employed everybody in slave labor camps. I'm sure Pol Pot had some beautiful buildings built in Cambodia. Oh my gosh. Hey, what's the dude in Venezuela has some great exotic food choices straight out of the zoo. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hello, Tyler. How you doing?
A lot of dissidents imprisoned in
That's right, and we condemn that. Unlike Donald Trump, let's be clear. I do not think.
Wait, what? I don't like Donald Trump. What is Donald Trump? Has Donald Trump said any good things about Cuba? I'm not sure what that meant. What did he mean by that? Unlike Donald Trump, what?
Even though Fidel Castro did it?
There's a lot of dissidents imprisoned in
That's right, and we condemn that. Unlike Donald Trump, let's be clear. I do not think that Kim Jong-un is
he's
a good
talking
friend.
about something
I don't trade love letters with a murdering dictator.
Wait a minute. Okay, so unlike Donald Trump, we want to be clear. We don't trade. Okay, so he's condemning Trump for meeting with Kim Jong-un. Okay. But what has Kim Jong-un actually got out of what they've been trying to negotiate? Now, the one thing that and Kim Jong-un is a shithead too, and Trump hasn't really given anything, but guess what? Remember, the South Koreans are pretty happy that Donald Trump started that conversation and got the North Korean and South Koreans talking again. They're still working on some shit out. But he sure, as soon as every time Kim Jong-un did something stupid, Trump would slap it down with with his tweets. In fact, weren't they worried about us getting into a war with North Korea, and then all of a sudden we don't have a war with North Korea? Kind of like with Iran, we were supposed to get World War III. Remember that? Remember World War III? And suddenly there's no World War III right now. Although that whole Iran thing's a mess right now as far as who's supposedly negotiating and who is over there. But anyway.
Vladimir Putin, not a great friend of mine.
A month ago.
Well, okay. But do you think we should have good relations with Vladimir Putin? Now, this is interesting because I'm going to find this second real quick. Because I don't know if this is in the full interview. But now let me show you this real quick. This is a part of the interview that doesn't say. 60 Minutes put this on. I think they edited this out of the interview. And I wanted you to see this because so Sanders said he would meet with Kim Jong-un as president. Listen to this. This is the part they think they edited out.
Foreign policy. You said you believe in diplomacy. You're concerned Donald Trump is going to get us into an unnecessary war. Are there situations where you believe military action is
Absolutely,
warranted?
of course I do. Hopefully as rare as possible. But
this is something
we have
edited
the
out of
best
the
military
interview.
in the world.
What would your criteria be for military action? Do you?
Well, threats against the American people, to be
So,
sure.
so this is now. I don't remember if this is in the full interview or not. But okay, so they're asking him. Are there reasons? Are there situations where you would use war? Yes, or is there military intervention? Bernie says yes. But listen to the rest of this.
Threats against our allies. I believe in NATO. I believe that
He believes in NATO. Now,
everything being
I almost can guarantee you that you can find old Bernie quotes where he didn't believe in NATO or that NATO is the bad guy. I may have to look that up myself.
equal, should be working with other countries in alliance, not doing it alone.
If China took military action against Taiwan, is that something you would?
That's something that, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I
so
think
you'd
we've
intervene
got to
in
make it
other
clear
parts of the world. Very good,
to
Bernie.
countries around the world that we will not sit by and allow invasions to take place. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Would you meet with Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, I mean, I've criticized Trump for everything under the world, under the sun. But meeting with people who are antagonistic is to me, not a bad thing to do.
Now. But he criticizes Trump for meeting with Kim Jong-un. Oh, probably because, he finished this.
Unfortunately, Trump went into that meeting unprepared. I think it was a photo opportunity and did not have the kind of the diplomatic work necessary to make it a success.
And yet the South Koreans praise President Trump for the work they've done. Now, I don't know how unprepared he went in there. He may well have, because he kind of, at least by appearances, he kind of goes off the cuff. But clearly he's been doing some things to get Kim Jong-un to chill a little bit. At least the North Koreans and South Koreans are talking for the first time. Not the first time, in many, many years.
But I do not have a problem with...
Quick super chat from Chicago. Mike, thank you, sir. He's not winning any Cuban votes if you praise Castro. Yeah, Florida, he can just forget Florida. he can forget Florida. I'm just saying. The Cuban population in Florida is going to say, hey, Bernie, fuck off.
Sitting down with...
All right, so that's an outtake from the interview. Let's go back to the main interview here, though, because it's funny they cut that out, and when I was looking for this video, they don't have the full interview on YouTube, but they have some cuts from it that were not in the interview that I saw on 60 Minutes. So here you go.
Sanders was told by U.S. intelligence that Vladimir Putin's government has been attempting to help his campaign. Last week, lawmakers were briefed that Moscow is also trying to help re-elect President Trump.
There's something really... This story has completely changed since they did this interview, but I'm going to let it go, and that's probably the first thing we'll talk about when we get out of this one.
On Friday, Sanders offered this message to Putin.
And again, as President of the United States, Mr. Putin, you will not interfere in our elections.
In the immortal words of Elizabeth Warren, how? Listen to what he said.
Is also trying to help re-elect President Trump. On Friday, Sanders offered this message to Putin.
And again, as President of the United States, Mr. Putin, you will not interfere in our elections.
Again, I ask, in the immortal words of Elizabeth Warren, how? How are you going to stop them? Are you going to, what are you going to do? I mean, first of all, do you have a quantitative number of how they interfered last time? Do you have any idea? Are you positive? Are you positive they interfered last time? The FBI keeps telling you that. Remember the FBI? Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller went in front of Congress and said, yes, the Russians attempted to interfere in our elections in a systematic, sweeping and systematic way. And it's the same Robert Mueller who insisted that Saddam Hussein had WMDs. Oh, good God. But now, here, look. This whole thing with the Russians interfering, now that they can't, it seems like the intelligence community can't make up their mind. And I don't think these are I think these are kind of some of the deep state intelligence community who's briefing the Congress on this. Because first they're saying, okay, the Russians are trying to get President Trump elected, but the Russians are also trying to get Bernie Sanders elected. Are they just sowing discord again? Are they just sowing discord? I don't know. It's amazing how or how did this happen to leak to all? Well, Bernie Sanders answers the question. I don't know if they show this clip, but it's funny how this always comes out of the Washington Post. The Washington Post or the New York Times, which is kind of isn't that like the DNC Central newspaper? Now, why would anyone in the DNC want to have a Russian connection to Bernie Sanders too in these primaries? Oh, is it because they don't want Bernie Sanders as their nominee? It's funny. The people they don't want as president, they keep connecting them to Russian interference. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think look, I wouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders to be the county commissioner of corn stalks. But they're fucking with Bernie Sanders too. They don't want another non-establishment politician being their president. So now they're trying to get two birds with the same stoli. Okay? They are, it's incredible to me. It's incredible. And, people who don't pay attention to the news, all they hear is, oh, the Russians are trying to help Trump. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, the Russians are trying to help Bernie Sanders. Oh no. Oh no.
You believe winning absolutely relies on a voter turnout that this country has never seen before.
That's right. I think, look, anyone who tells you that Donald Trump is not going to be a tough opponent is kidding themselves. The way you beat...
Well, now I'm forgetting what the hell the question was. What does that have to do... Okay, I think this is a poorly edited interview, too. And some of the stuff they took out, like that little thing about him, would he meet with Kim Jong-un? What did he say earlier about Kim Jong-un being Trump's best friend? But then, I would meet with Kim Jong-un too. But they cut that out. Oh, they cut out. So I would love to see the raw interview, the entire raw footage of this interview, because I'm wondering what else they cut out of this. This is a Bernie Sanders friendly edit job here. Oh, otherwise known as deceptively edited. I think they should probably leave this interview off Twitter and YouTube because they don't like deceptively edited things, right? Is that right?
Is also trying to help re-elect President Trump. On Friday, Sanders offered this message to Putin.
What is this
As President of the United States, Mr. Putin, you will not interfere in our elections.
You believe winning absolutely relies on a voter turnout that this country has never
they're
seen
talking
before.
about Russian helping and voter turnout.
Anyone who tells you that Donald Trump is not going to be a tough opponent is kidding themselves.
Okay, no one asked you that.
Beat Trump is bring non-traditional voters into the political process.
Don't.
Non-traditional voters into the political process. You mean like, well, I don't know if it matters in New York so much, in California, where they're giving people's driver's license, where they can get a lot of non-traditional voters, if you know what I mean. Non-traditional, people who don't vote, people who don't vote are people in their 20s. And 18-year-olds and whatever. They don't vote. They just don't. Statistically, they never have. And statistically, they probably never will. They don't pay attention. And so Bernie's going to try to get all those college kids out there, all those student loan people out there voting. And illegals, of course. Yes, check your logic. That was my implication there. The non-traditional voters, illegal aliens. And dead people, but dead people have been voting for Democrats since the entire 20th century. So, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, the non-traditional voters, give me a break. Bernie doesn't, Bernie, I'm thinking about minority voters. He's not going to get the Hispanics on the southern coast, aka Florida. His Castro comments will not fly with them. Perhaps immigrants from Nicaragua or Venezuela or those types of countries probably won't vote for Bernie. He might get some of the other Hispanic vote that comes from the southern, from the southern hemisphere, but legally here that can vote. And he might get some of the illegal votes. Oh, inmates too. Yeah, he'll get the votes of the inmates. Maybe though. But President Trump's been doing that prison reform. He's gotten a lot of people out of jail. I don't know. Anyway.
Donald Trump got elected talking to white middle-class Americans, white working-class Americans, promising to make America great again. Your stump speech.
Hey, you know what? And President Trump has at least of that 7 million people who have jobs now that didn't have them before, or the people whose wages they're finally seeing rising, Trump might have an edge on them, or at least enough that they're not going to go out and vote against him, whether they're going to vote for him. That's 7 million people. How many did he lose by? He lost by 4.5 million in California. At least the popular vote. With the popular vote, does it mean anything? But I'm just saying this because think if he got half of those people who have jobs now, or whose wages have risen, or the people that he's been able to get, the people have been able to come off of food stamps and feel really good about themselves now. Those people that, Bernie supposedly is trying to help, but that Trump has actually already helped. Could Trump win the popular vote? Well, against Sanders, I think Trump could win the popular vote. I think by a landslide. I think he would win probably 45 states if Bernie is the nominee. I really believe that. There's some saying maybe 49. I think it's Reagan Mondale. It's Nixon McGovern all over again. If Bernie is the nominee. But that's just my personal opinion. I guess we'll find out if Bernie even gets to be the nominee. Remember, we've only gone 3 states. South Carolina, I think there's a debate tonight because South Carolina is tomorrow. I think now Bernie, I think, is he leading South Carolina? I don't remember, but it's like Bernie and Biden neck and neck, and then I think Tom Steyer, for whatever reason. Bloomberg's not on the ballot. Most people don't watch these debates, so they're not going to see Elizabeth Warren kicking Mike Bloomberg in the nuts over and over again. So they probably don't even pay attention to that. And then Super Tuesday comes March 2nd, and most people don't pay attention, and right up until it's their state's turn. And in states with ballots, they go and vote and don't have caucuses. The effect of the hyper enthusiastic, which Bernie has the hyper enthusiastic following sewn up. But again, when you're not going to caucuses with a hyper enthusiastic following, and people just go and vote, more people will just go and vote in primaries rather than go to caucuses. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Your critics say sounds like nothing works in America, hasn't for generations. Is America great?
In many ways, we are.
Really? Name a few. Name a few, Bernie. I've never heard Bernie say something good about our country. Have you? Anyone?
In some ways, very significant ways, we're not. We're not great when half of our people today are living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, I think this is a time for my line. I would much rather live paycheck to paycheck than breadline to breadline, Bernie. Sir Shaggy, what's up, brother? Morning, fine chat folk, and Streamlord PDawg just finished Ranting Monkey's breakdown of this misfire of a fluff piece. Hope all are well. Well, I saw some of his, and then I was paying attention to work, so I decided I'd do my own. Jesse Smollett's in court again today. Good to know. All right, let's see
when
here.
500,000 people tonight are going to be sleeping out on the streets including 30,000 veterans. You know,
Well, and again, hang on a sec. What did he say? Let me get back to
some
this.
ways, very significant ways, we're not. We're not great when half of our people today are living paycheck to paycheck. When 500
Oh yeah, we said that before. How many of these people are? Lindsay says how many of these people are living paycheck to paycheck are actually living within their means. Yeah, I mean, you know, you go to a Bernie rally and all these people supporting him, and all the people want all their student loans forgiven. They all have the new iPhone in their hand, and they all have, you know, they probably have Netflix and Hulu and Disney and Amazon Prime, and they probably drink. Well, they probably. I'm sure they don't miss a party on the weekend and go out drinking on the weekends, whatever. But they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? You know, I don't know. You know, my son. I think about my son, and I'm like, and I'm really proud of my son. My son graduated college in 4 years, played basketball there, left with he graduated with honors. He's out in his job, makes quite a bit of money. I mean, my son, I think he already makes more than I do, but I'm in a different job now. But instead of going out and getting a really expensive apartment, he and 3 friends rented a house together just so they could save money. And he puts his money away, and he's already started investing at 22 years old. And he's actually taken a couple weekend vacations out of town, but it's living paycheck to paycheck. It's always, some people can't help it, but some people make choices, and so maybe you have to live in a less expensive place, maybe not have cable or whatever, or every streaming service or whatever. It's budget your life. But again, think about what living paycheck to paycheck is like in the United States. Versus, again, I'd rather live paycheck to paycheck than breadline to breadline. I'm just saying. Imagine if everyone paid 45% of their 45% of their income in taxes like they do in Denmark. Would you still be living paycheck to paycheck? Yeah, pretty much. You certainly wouldn't have any money to invest in anything else. Okay, because you still have to pay for the stuff that the government's not giving you for free. So it doesn't matter if he gets all his plans put together and he taxes everybody, what they need to tax everybody to get, to get his shit passed, which we'll talk about in a minute. Everyone's still going to be living paycheck to paycheck, but they're not. What? Okay, so great. You can go see a doctor. Well, I can go see a doctor now, living paycheck to paycheck. Anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy.
100,000 people tonight are going to be sleeping out on the streets, including 30,000 veterans.
Yes, and the homeless problem is a problem, absolutely. But what are you doing about that, Bernie? You've been in Congress or the Senate, whatever, in government for 40 years. What have you done about it, Bernie? Granted, we have 500,000 homeless people in a country of 340 million, 340 million people. Is it because why are they homeless? Do they have mental problems? Do they, what is it that causes people to be homeless? Maybe we could figure that out. But that doesn't make, maybe we can figure it out just for those people and find a way to help those people. Does that mean we have to take care of everybody in the country and give everybody everything for free to help the small number of people relatively that are in that situation? Can we help those people without revamping our entire economy into this, everything's free economy where it's really not free? I'm sure there's some ways to do it, Bernie. I don't know. It's funny though how the places where the most homeless are the places where most this is not okay. This is off the top of my head. I'm guessing that it's the places where the homeless get the most stuff for free. I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact, so I'm not really coming. That's just me talking out of my ass, but whatever. All right.
My father came to this country at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket. Couldn't speak a word of English, had very limited education. We are a great nation because people like my father would never have dreamed in a million years that their kids would become United States senators or be...
Oh, so, wow. So his father came here without a penny, or almost penniless, and his son became a U.S. senator. Doesn't that speak to the American dream? Especially since your father's son has never had a job outside of government. And yet, your father's son has been in government 40 years. Never had a job, granted. Of course, being in the government has been your job, but you've never run a business. You've never had a payroll. You've never had a job where you had to work and live paycheck to paycheck. Apparently, because you always got government benefits. Maybe that's why you're so high on government benefits, because that's how you lived. Now, granted, he's going to talk about his childhood here, and there's something he doesn't want to tell us, and that's fine. I mean, he doesn't have to. I don't think politicians have to be a complete open book. But anyway, here.
Successful in many other ways.
How much of your political beliefs are based on your experiences growing up in Brooklyn with your family?
A lot, Anderson, a lot. I grew up, and I don't want to hear anyone to think we were desperately poor. We were not. My father worked every day of his life. He worked very hard, just never made a whole lot of money. And, as a kid, it stays with you your whole life. These are the things you don't forget.
You know what? Lady Boomer grew up in lived a good portion of her younger life in a trailer park with a single mom. And yet here we are in our lovely house with a pool and, all the amenities, and we've had 2 kids through college, and we live a good life because there is upward mobility in this country for people who really work at it. And apparently your father did a great job. But did he get the handouts? Did he live on handouts? Is this okay? So this is interesting. He says, "Well, we did grow up totally poor." Da, 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 da. But is this Bernie living out the envy that he had when he was a kid of people who were better off than him? Because I know some of the stuff, like for example, Lady Boomer and I. A lot of this stuff is like, we just want great things for our kids, that maybe we didn't have when we were kids. Okay, now I had a pretty good life. I grew up in a middle-class family in Omaha and whatever, and I pretty much, things I wanted I had for the most part, and if we couldn't afford it, my parents would say, nope, can't afford it, whatever. But Lord, my Lady Boomer didn't have anything, and so a lot of her drive and wanting to have things that she didn't have when she was a kid come from the fact that, she didn't have things as a kid, but she realized that you can work for it and have a good job and go into a career and do well, and then you grow up and you have things that you want, that you can't do that here. That's the American dream. So, everyone can make reasons why they can't, but why not think of reasons why you can instead? Thank you, James Colley, with the Streamlabs Super Chat. Quote, "Dog, when I was a kid, I remember my parents standing in lines getting government assistance in the form of commodities, like government peanut butter, cheese, and the like. Not sure if they had that in all areas, but it stuck with me, and that's why I worked 2 jobs." You know what? Now, my grandmother It's funny because my grandmother somehow got some of the surplus government cheese because she was single. Her husband had died. I don't remember why she qualified for it because I don't think she was too bad off. I mean, she was a teacher and did well, but yeah, lots of people have gone through that, and yes, that's what Lady Boomer had that too. But so a lot of people say, you know what, I've lived that, and because this is a place where you can, there's mobility upward and downward. The rich don't stay rich, the poor don't stay poor. You go from, different class, which you can't do in a lot of other countries. In Denmark, you can't do that. If you're born in the working class, whatever, you kind of get stuck in that no matter what. Whereas, here, nah, if you really, if you have, a lot of the times you have to have parents that are going to say, you know what, hey, look, we're struggling, but you're not going to struggle. You are going to do well. You're going to work hard in school. You're going to do your schoolwork. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And then you will have a better life than I had. And people do it all the time. But I just don't. So, but apparently Bernie is the American dream, except for the fact that he's never had a job. But he is the American dream. Yeah. His father should be proud, would be extremely proud of him. His parents, I should say. Thanks again, James Colley.
The incredible arguments between my mom and my dad over money. You know what? People argue about money no matter what your level of money is. Okay? I know people who live around me who probably argue about money because they have a house that's maybe a little bit too much, a little more than they could afford. They didn't plan it out when they said, "Oh, we're gonna buy this $300,000 house." Okay, but you know what? Because the bank said that we qualify for this much. But you know what? Really? Oh, when I was in the mortgage business, I used to stop people from doing that shit all the time. But yeah, but we didn't think about that when we bought this house, that it's not just the house payment, but it's also the taxes and the insurance and the maintenance and the things that break and the this and that. And so they're living out of their means. So I bet a lot of people have arguments about money growing up, regardless of where they're at. I bet, I'm going to guess, there's some rich people who have arguments about money. There's, you know what, the other thing I discovered that I really didn't understand when I was in banking, when I was doing mortgages, I didn't realize that when people who live paycheck to paycheck, it's not just low income people who live paycheck to paycheck. That was an eye opener for me when I first got into the business. When I would go try to, I was going to try to figure out how I'm going to get a loan for some people, and I realized that, people who make $20,000 live paycheck to paycheck. I've met people who make $500,000 a year and live paycheck to paycheck because of all the stuff they bought and all the debt they have and all this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you have this much? How can you have this high of debt when you make that much money? But it's because they just spend and they buy things on credit. They have the new Mercedes and the new Lexus, and they have to have, they have both. They have finance, and they have the second home. They have finance, and they have this. They have finance, and they're, they have a $1 million cabin on the lake, and they have the $500,000 house here, and you're like, holy shit! There's a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck that shouldn't be. And then I've met people who make, a couple with 2 kids that make $35,000 a year that have money to put away every month. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you live? Well, we cut coupons, we do this, we do that. We save everything here, and we always put some money away every month for their college fund and yada, yada, yada. It's like, wow, I guess it's just how you live your life, right? Anyway. Why don't we have enough money to do this? And should we buy this and do that? And why are you buying this clothing? And blah, 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 blah.
Your mom got sick when you were a teenager. Mm-hmm. Does that inform your view on medical policy, on Medicare for All, and all of that?
I don't like to talk about personal stuff that much, but it does.
It's interesting you don't like to talk a lot about personal stuff. Most people running on a campaign, they want people to know that side of them. Why do you think that's not important?
And I'm not saying it's not important. I mean, I'm a kind of private person in a sense, and I, not particularly anxious to tell the world about everything personal in my life.
One of the things
Renovatio, I'm going to make, if you live, I'm just reading your comment here. If you are on 500,000 and you still live paycheck to paycheck, you are too irresponsible to deserve anything from the rest of the tax-paying public when you fall. Agreed, but also think about this. Now, Bernie Sanders, because they're not, now the person who makes 500,000 a year, are they billionaires? No, they're not. But Bernie wants to give them free healthcare. Bernie wants to give them free college. Bernie wants them to pay off their student loans. Bernie wants to, you know what I'm saying? They're not billionaires. They live paycheck to paycheck. Should we help them, or maybe just tell them, hey, dumbass, stop buying so much shit? You know, or maybe live in a less expensive house. Read The Millionaire. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. Go read that book. Budget your life out, and stop spending so much money. You don't have, just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you have to spend it all. Anyway.
Obviously, people do know about is you had a heart attack a few months ago. If you're elected running for a second term, you'd be 82 years old. Somebody running for a second term at 82, shouldn't that give voters pause?
Well, I haven't won the first term yet. So
notice his eye twitching there like, uh-oh, I got a question that I really don't want to answer because I'm not telling you about. He's not going to release any more medical information either. Not that, you know what, look, I don't care if he releases medical information. I think people are making a big deal about that. And yes, he's 82 years old and they just put a stent in his heart and all that. And, but that's just part of the package that people got to think about when they decide to vote. Now, I'm not voting for Bernie anyway for anything, but like I said, you know, they dig into these candidates' personal lives, and yes, you want the candidate you vote for to live more than, you know, at least 4 years, right? Oh my God. And him being relapsed at 82. He, at least, you know, Bernie doesn't really show signs of dementia, kind of like Joe Biden does. So I'm going to give him that point.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on the second term. You know, being old has an advantage.
Oh, it does.
In the sense that the issues that I fight for are not new to me.
One of the criticisms of you in the Senate.
I don't know about that anyway.
Joe Biden has said that you never got anything done. Amy Klobuchar has been. Are you getting mad?
I'm bad. I'm just.
You exhaled.
Just silently hissing. That's all.
But he hasn't.
Amy Klobuchar has said to be a progressive, you have to make progress, implying you haven't. Georgetown University studied that you had one of the worst records for bipartisan cooperation. In
That is true.
Oh boy, dead wrong. Dead wrong.
How so, Bernie? When okay, so the Georgetown study says he has the worst bipartisan record in Congress. You know, if he was smart, he'd go, well, right, because I don't agree with the Republicans on anything. I could see him making that answer. I'm fine with that answer. But instead, he's trying to give his bipartisan bona fides. He has none. Okay, he has none. And unless you're talking, well, here, listen to this.
In the House, year after year after year, I passed more bipartisan amendments.
Listen to that again. Hello, Austin P. I'm not sure why your message was retracted, but welcome to the show. Oh, that's it looks like Check Your Logic to me. Hang on, listen to this. So this is hilarious because we're talking about bills, and he says
University study that you had one of the worst records for bipartisan cooperation in the Senate.
Oh boy, dead wrong. When I was in the House, year after year after year, I passed more bipartisan amendments.
More bipartisan amendments. Do you realize, okay, I think he says it here, but Bernie Sanders hasn't been the major sponsor of, I think, 7 bills since he's been in Congress for over 30 years.
Than anybody else in the House.
In terms of getting your bills through Congress, we found, I think, 7 bills that you were the primary sponsor on that got enacted. 2 of them were involved naming post office buildings.
Yeah, but if you look at the Affordable Care Act.
He's been in Congress for over 30 years, either as a congressman or a senator. 7 bills. 2 were naming post offices. Yes, we have the Fidel Castro branch of the Burlington, Vermont post office, and we have the Manuel Noriega branch of the, I don't even know another city in Vermont. Anyway. Oh my gosh. I mean, I have no words. I have no words for that.
My name was not on that bill. But you speak to anybody in Congress. I led the effort to bring $11 billion more into community health centers and expand primary health care in this country. I mean,
okay, so you led the effort to add $11 billion to Obamacare, which I don't think you really wanted it anyway, was it? I don't think you didn't like how Obamacare worked, but okay, you got $11 billion more dollars. Okay. Fantastic. And I have no problem with community health centers. I think they're valuable. I think we should have ways to help people with medical care when they can't afford it. In fact, if we focused on that rather than trying to revamp the entire system, maybe we could find a way to do it, which we kind of do already with Medicaid and other programs. I know when I go to the doctor's office, there is no shortage of, immigrant families with 7 kids in this waiting room, getting all their kids taken care of on government assistance. I've never been there when it hasn't been that way. And that's fine. You know what? If they're here as citizens now, and it's not like we're not taking care of everybody that we can. Okay. And fine, we should be able to do that. Do we need to revamp the entire freaking healthcare system to do it? Yeah. Not the way we work, not the way it works here. It's great if it works their ways in other places, but guess what? All these other countries, especially those European countries that they like to talk about, their healthcare systems are getting bogged down with migrants, immigrants who haven't been paying into the system, who don't necessarily have jobs where they live. And they're having problems that nobody wants to talk about. Just saying.
So as you well know, Anderson, Congress is a complicated place.
$11 billion to the budget, and this is supposed to make me vote for him. $11 billion of a budget that's probably $1 trillion or 2. I mean, think of that too. Oh, okay, you made that by about 0.5% or whatever.
There is profound skepticism in Congress about Sanders' ability to get his agenda passed. 2/3 of Democrats in the Senate haven't signed on to Medicare for All, which would cost an estimated $30 to $40 trillion over 10 years.
Okay, estimates have been between 30 and 60 trillion with a T dollars. Okay, so think about that. We have a budget of roughly $4.5 trillion. And he has one of his plans, one plan, adds a minimum of $3 trillion a year. $3 trillion a year. And he thinks he's going to get that from just the billionaires. Okay, I bet you could confiscate all the wealth of every billionaire in the United States, and you wouldn't get 1 year of his Medicare for All plan paid for.
And that's just one of Bernie Sanders' many proposals. There's also free public college, cancellation of all student debt, a federal job guarantee, and a Green New Deal to rapidly reduce carbon emissions.
How much? Here's the question of the day. This is the only thing we're going to do today. I got to finish this up though, because we're almost out of time. I'll get to all of the other stuff that I have related to later, either later today or tomorrow's show. But here's the question of the day from Anderson Cooper.
What will that cost?
Obviously, those are expensive propositions,
I'm sorry.
but we have done our best.
All student debt, a federal job guarantee, and a Green New Deal to rapidly reduce carbon emissions.
How much will that cost?
Obviously, those are expensive
He has
propositions,
no idea.
but we have done our best
He
on
has no
issue
idea.
after issue in
He
paying
has
for them.
no idea.
you know how-
He has no idea. He's lying. There's that.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
It's not true.
Oh, how much though? I mean, do you have a price tag for all of this?
We do. I mean, you know, and
Really? What is it? We do. He says we do. What is it? What is it, and how are you going to get that money? Because you're not getting it from just the billionaires. You're not even getting it from just the millionaires. You're going to get it from all of us. That's the only way you can do it.
the price tag is, it will be substantially less than letting the current system go. I think.
How? How? You haven't told us how much it is. You don't even. In fact, there was some interview recently where he said, "We don't know. We don't know. We don't know how much it'll cost." Oh, well, how are you going to do it? Oh, didn't think about that, did you?
It's about 30 trillion.
That's just for Medicare for all.
Just
you're talking about.
Medicare for all, yes.
Do you have a price
30
tag for-
trillion. That's now look. When a politician says 30 trillion, just double the number, guaranteed. Remember how much Obamacare was supposed to cost? It was going to be under 1 trillion. They were trying to keep it under 1 trillion. Oh, how cute. How cute. Yeah, never mind.
all of these things?
No, I don't. We try to. No, you mentioned making public colleges and universities tuition free and cancer.
And making public colleges making public colleges and universities tuition free. That'd be another trillion maybe, at least. And that's just the public colleges and universities. Remember, they're trying to forgive all student loans. Well, guess what? Do they only give student loans at public colleges and universities? Oh no, they use them at private colleges and universities. So the guy who has the $300,000 of student loans from Harvard to study feminist studies, also we're going to give them that too. So it's just but the private colleges and universities are going to be free. Oh, who's paying for that? Well, the guy who has a kid who's going to go get an apprenticeship to be a machinist. Wait a minute. But you're going to pay $20,000 a year for this little privileged white kid over here from Upper East Side of New York to go to NYU? Well, that's like probably $40,000 a year to go to NYU. Well, that's a public college and university. Oh, the kid who just is going to take a year at electrician school, you're going to take taxes from him to pay for a bunch of kids to go study psychology or sociology? Wow.
All student debt. That's correct. That's what I want to do. We pay
All student debt, not just from the public colleges and universities. Is Syracuse public college $70,000 a year? Syracuse University or Georgetown? Is Georgetown? No, that's not a public college. I think it's like $70,000 to go to Georgetown. Stanford? You're gonna cancel all the student debt from the kid who went to Stanford? Even the kid who studied, let's say someone who studied computer science and got a $120,000 a year's job from Google, you're going to pay off their student loans too, Bernie? Every student loan? Are we going to pay them all off? Are we going to pay them, or is it just going to be for the not so privileged?
for that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation.
Oh, a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. Oh, a tax on trading. Yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to pay for it all. what's that a modest tax going to be? Oh, it'll probably have to be a $10 tax on each trade.
But you say
shit.
you don't know what the total price is, but you know how it's going to be paid for. How do you know it's going to be paid for if you don't know how much the price is?
Well, I can't
Good
rattle
question,
off you every
Anderson.
nickel and every dime. But we have a
Oh, what? Wait, whoa. What's his
tax
answer?
on Wall Street speculation.
Listen to this
But
question
you say
answer.
you don't know what the total price is, but you know how it's going to be paid for. How do you know it's going to be paid for if you don't know how much the price is?
Well, I can't rattle off to you every nickel and every dime.
You
But
can't
we have
rattle off any of
accounted
it because
for
you have no idea how
talked
you're
about
going to pay
Medicare
for it.
We have options out there that will pay for it.
Holy shit. What's the
Taxes on
option?
corporations and billionaires are the primary options he's proposed. But to finance Medicare for all...
Oh, yeah, let's just destroy all these companies that give all these people jobs. Let's do that. Let's just take it from the billionaires. There's so many billionaires. They have so much money and so much. Wait, what? Take it from the what? Oh, so the billionaires are going to liquidate their assets and they're going to just fuck.
Middle-class families would also pay an additional 4% tax on their
4%
income
my ass.
over $29,000. Sanders says they'll end up saving money because they won't have to pay premiums, co-pays, or deductibles. But under Medicare for All, nearly 160 million Americans will have to give up their private health insurance.
Isn't that a
And
dangerous
I don't wanna
message
give it
for
mine.
Democrats to say, you know what, we're going to take away your private insurance. We're going to give you something better run
talk
by the
about-
government. A lot of people don't trust
It's not
them.
run by the government.
Oh, really?
Medicare.
Really? It's not run by the government. Let's see. So the government doesn't decide if they're going to pay for a treatment under Medicare? Are you kidding me? Bernie, do you know anybody on Medicare? Have you ever? And do you think does Medicare decide how much the doctors are going to be paid for services under Medicare, Bernie? Do you think if you tell the doctors, well, now we're only going to pay you this much for that Medicare patient, and they're all Medicare patients, you don't think that's going to have an effect on how many people want to be doctors anymore, Bernie? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me.
Allows you to go to any doctor you want.
Did he just give you, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor? Is that basically what he was saying there?
This is not socialized medicine. This is keeping the same system intact, but getting rid of the private insurance companies, giving people another card.
It doesn't keep
which
the same
allows them
system
complete freedom.
intact.
Though he's campaigning as a champion of the
God.
poor, Bernie Sanders became a millionaire 4 years ago, thanks largely to royalties from his best-selling book, Our
Oh,
Revolution.
he's a millionaire now.
Democratic
That's why he
rivals
never
have
talks
given
about
him some
millionaires
grief about it during the debates.
You know what they're getting at. They're suggesting that it's hypocritical to criticize the
but that's
wealthy,
nonsense.
say
Look.
they're not fair in their share.
Oh, it's nonsense.
We pay our fair share of taxes.
Oh, well, good. Because you say most millionaires don't.
He doesn't think billionaires like Michael Bloomberg are paying their fair share, nor does he think much of the job Bloomberg did as mayor.
I think the more people understand Bloomberg's record as mayor of New York, where he engaged in horrifically racist policies of stop and frisk, people in America don't want that.
You have promised to support the Democratic nominee. Personally, though, the idea of you going out campaigning for Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire, how would that even work? I mean,
That would be hilarious. That's what it would be. If Bloomberg got the nomination, oh my gosh. First of all, the Bernie Bros are not going to be happy. Just say that. The Bernie Bros will revolt and riot. But if Bloomberg is the Democratic nominee and Bernie has to do the same thing he did for Hillary Clinton, go campaign for a billionaire, that would be classic. That would be fucking classic. Hey, Peter Allman, how you doing? Also, hi, TC Ball. Glad to see you here. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications. All right, let's finish this up.
Tell your supporters to support this
Well,
billionaire?
I think this is the problem of a Bloomberg candidacy. It's not just my supporters. He is not going to be a strong candidate.
Are you, Bernie? You're going to be a strong candidate about your very, very loyal, enthusiastic following. But that's all. The independents, the middle of the road people are not going to vote for you, Bernie. I'm just saying, no matter how much free stuff you offer them, because they're going to start adding this up in their heads, and then you give them that answer, well, we don't know what how much it's going to cost. We don't know, but we know how we're going to pay for it. That is a just an oxymoron of an answer. That just is. I'm sorry. Sorry.
What I have said, and you quoted me correctly, is I said on day one, I will support the Democratic nominee no matter who that nominee may be.
Oh, I would want Bloomberg to win just to see Bernie campaign for him. I mean, just whatever. Bloomberg seems like a plan to emulate what Trump did in 2016. He isn't Trump, though. No, he's not Trump. He's a plant. That is a good description of him, TC. Bloomberg's a plant. I mean, he has the personality of a plant, but Bloomberg just has a lot of money, and I am impressed by his ads a little bit, even though you get tired of seeing them. And not because they're good ads, but by the fact that you can't get away from them. But that's nothing like Trump did, actually. Trump got press by just talking and tweeting and getting invited over and over back to the networks because he's such a character. And the networks thought that it would be a bad thing to have Trump seen more and more and more, and it didn't turn out that way. It turned out it blew up in their face. And so Bloomberg is not anywhere near. In fact, I would say Bernie's candidacy is way more like Trump's than Bloomberg's. Bernie actually has a grassroots following. Bloomberg is just nonstop. He's like a little kid who keeps pulling on your sweatshirt. He's trying to get your attention. You're doing something and they just keep pulling on your sweatshirt. You keep pulling on your sweatshirt. You keep pulling on your sweatshirt. And then you're like, what? What do you want? And then you give him attention. Oh, okay, well, we'll get that done. Okay, that's Bloomberg. He's just annoying. And he's about that tall, too, so there you go.
The end of our interview, Sanders unveiled a new plan that would guarantee free, high-quality child care and pre-kindergarten.
So now he wants to, okay. And now, on top of all the other shit he wants to do for free, now he wants to give everybody in America free child care from birth until they go to school. Paid for by you with a 50% tax rate on all Americans making more than $15,000 a year. The only reason I say that is because all the shit that he's proposing would require that. And he says, wait till you hear how he says he's going to pay for it.
To every kid in the country from infancy to age 4.
First of all, most people figure out, well, no, they don't. Some people don't know that they don't expect the kid they're going to have. There are oops in the world, but man, I know that Lady Boomer and I hate to use our anecdotal evidence, but we certainly figured out what we were going to do to raise kids when we figured out we were going to have kids. And we figured it out like every other American does. And they turned out pretty damn good. We're very proud of our kids. Anyway, free childcare. Holy shit. Yeah, and who are these daycare people that are going to be taking care of your kids? Some people don't want daycare. Some people don't want, or they don't want the free version that you might get from the government. Like who are all? Is these the guaranteed jobs Bernie's talking about? Is that what the guaranteed job are? Well, we need daycare workers, so we're gonna get some daycare workers out of this pool of people who can't get jobs, so that we can provide free daycare for every child, infant to 5 years old in America. Get the hell out of here. We need more parents raising their own kids, and we need to make it easier for that to happen. Okay, that's what we need. More parents were able to raise their own kids, and we made that easier. That would be the ideal. But you know what I'm saying. Holy crap.
What we are calling for is universal child care.
Universal child care. I don't want anyone else raising my kids. Thank you. Bye. Get the fuck out of here.
We have a tax on wealth to pay for that.
Oh, and a tax on wealth. A tax on wealth. Really? That's amazing. You know. So not on income. Notice he didn't say on income. He said a tax on wealth. He means the government's going to pass a law where we can just take some people's shit when we want to, because we want to pay for something else. We're just going to take it from you for just because you've already been taxed on it, because you've been taxed on the income that helps you acquire the wealth. But now we're going to take the wealth that you've acquired. Some of people's wealth is strictly on paper. You know, like, I always use these billionaires that he's always talking about. You know what their billions are? You know what they're billionaires on paper, meaning that, okay, so they own let's take Jeff Bezos, for example. He owns a lot of shit. And he has a company that their stocks. And so he the value of his company is what makes him a billionaire. It's not because he has billions and billions of dollars. I keep using the swimming pool full of gold coins analogy, that like Scrooge McDuck. That's not his billions of dollars. It's because the value of his stock keeps going up, and he has all these buildings that he uses for all his Amazon centers and all this shit. That's his wealth. So now you're saying, okay, we're going to tax wealth. We're going to make you liquidate this much of your company because that's your wealth. We're going to make you liquidate some of your First of all, if you make every billionaire liquidate shit, the value of that shit goes down immediately. So you're not going to have as much to take from them anyway. But a tax on wealth? So wealth is like the equity in your home. Okay, so let's say I have a $3 million house on the coast of California. And I've worked and got most of it paid off. But part of my wealth is the equity I have in that home. So I need to liquidate part of the equity in that so that to pay for someone's what? The government could just take that? Jesus Christ. He has no sense of economics whatsoever. Zero. And that's because he's never worked in a job, never run a business, never been an employee, never done anything outside of being in government where he gets his health care for free and he gets a lot of meals for free and he writes off. Yeah, Jesus, this guy.
For all the people who like the idea of it, there are going to be a lot of Democrats again who are saying, well, wait a minute, yet again, this is another program that
he can't pay for.
How it's going to get paid for. It's just going to add to...
It is clear how it's going to be paid for. Look.
How much is it going to cost, Bernie? How's it clear? If you don't know how much it's going to cost, how do you know what you're saying will pay for it? He doesn't know. It all sounds great. It sounds great. Everyone should be taken care of. Everyone should have this, and everyone should have education, and everyone should have health care, and everyone should have daycare, and everyone should have, apartment. He's also talking about nationwide rent control. Because rent control works so great in New York City. Holy shit.
But it's just more taxes.
It's taxes on billionaires.
No, it's not. There's not enough billionaires. You could take every billionaire in America, their combined wealth, you could take it all from them right now. And your plan wouldn't last a year under what you take from them. So it's ridiculous that you think it's going to be paid for by billionaires. Sorry. So now you got to dip into the millionaires, and that's not going to be enough. So now you dip into everybody else. It's pie in the sky nonsense. And it's why countries first of all, none of this shit's going to pass anyway, because even if he's president, he ain't going to pass this shit. 70% of the Democrats in Congress are against Medicare for all. Did you know that? How are you going to pass it, Bernie? Are you going to do it by executive order? I don't think so.
I get a little bit tired of hearing my opponents saying, gee, how are you going to pay for a program that impacts and helps children or working class families?
Oh, it's for the children. It's for the children. It's for the children. Fuck off.
Or middle class families.
Oh, man. and it's always the children of middle class families, because most of us are middle class, and so he's trying to appeal to the middle class because we know that your idea ain't gonna work. It means we're gonna be paying probably twice as much in taxes, and then our upward mobility is not, or whatever. You think we're living paycheck to paycheck now? Again, paycheck to paycheck or breadline to breadline, Bernie? Which is better? Hello, Faithless. Hello, Uncle Bobbity.
Pay for that, and yet where are people saying, how are you going to pay for over $750 billion on military spending?
What? What? It's $750 billion. 3 trillion with a T. 750 billion with a B. 3 trillion with a T. And that's just the low end of the estimate for Medicare for All. The entire budget of the United States government right now is $4.5 trillion, I think. He wants to add 3 trillion to it with one program that could be up to 6 trillion. And he's complaining about 750 billion for a constitutionally required entity of the U.S. government. Provide for the common defense. Okay. Promoting the general welfare is not providing the general welfare, but provide for the common defense. That's right there in the Constitution, and it doesn't even cost it. It's dwarfed by entitlement benefits, pensions, and all the other bullshit that government pays for that maybe we could find ways to cut back on. Do you think, Bernie? Do you think? Do you think?
How are you going to pay for $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% in large corporations, which was what?
Tax breaks aren't, you don't pay for tax breaks. You stop taking their money, and then you figure out how you're going to spend less. I want to go, the penny plan, was that Ross Perot? Someone said that one day. The penny plan to me sounds like a great idea. Every department of government has to figure out how they're going to take 1% off their budget. Let's do that. Let's do that. That would be awesome. Then, you know, whatever.
Trump did. When you help the billionaires and you help Wall Street, hey, of course we can pay for it.
And guess what? Because guess what? I'm going to guess that most of those billionaires, verdict in the Weinstein trial. We're going to hear that. That's breaking news. We'll get that in a minute. The billionaires, how many people does the average billionaire employ? I'm going to guess. You know, are there 1 million people that work for Amazon? Probably now. You know, it's not like they don't contribute to society. It's not like that. All the I don't know. Whatever. He's just full shit.
That's what America's supposed to be about. Well, I disagree.
All right. So that's the entire interview. That took up the whole show too. So wow, I'm not going to do any Twitter trends today. I'll probably get to a couple points about this interview tomorrow, but holy shit. Now, real quick though, there is some breaking news. Jury says it has reached a verdict in the Harvey Weinstein trial. Now, let me see if that's in trends real quick, because I want to find that here. Let's see. Oh, Better Call Saul, 5th season. It's about time. What the hell is going on? Let's see if it's in Twitter trends here. It's not yet. I mean, this is like breaking at the minute. So let me see if I can find this on real quick, because I want to find that out, and then I got to go. H-A-R-V-E-Y. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein verdict. Let's see here. Hang on a second. It literally just popped up on the feed. All right, hang on a second here. Hello, Galactic North. I'm sorry, the Harvey Weinstein verdict. Apparently, it just came through. Secret hearing. Here it is. Jury says it has reached a verdict in the Harvey Weinstein trial. Here we go from the Associated Press. This is the only story I'm going to be looking at real quick. Says it's reached a verdict Monday in Harvey's rape trial in New York City. The jury says it's reached a verdict Monday in Harvey Weinstein's rape trial in New York City. The jury has been deliberating on the rape and sexual assault charges against the once powerful movie mogul for 5 days. Weinstein has said any sexual encounters were consensual. This is a breaking news update. Okay, that's just the update. They haven't announced it, but they have a verdict. So you will be hearing about that soon. All right. So that's the breaking news. All right. All right, gang. That's got to be it for today because it's beyond my bedtime. Well, not my bedtime. I got to go to my other job. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for being here at the Morning Night Live. I have a whole tab list of things that I did not get to today because that Bernie Sanders interview was it was too precious not to pay attention to. So thanks everybody for coming by. As you know, especially thanks James Conley, Chicago Mike, Maddie, Don Kedick, and James Colley for the super chats. Also, everyone participating in the chat today. You know, we're here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 3 p.m. GMT. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. I got 40 people still here, but only 26 likes. So hit the like button on the way out, or Duck Dog, you know what you do. And if you would be so kind to share the stream out, hit that arrow, stream it out on your favorite social media. Also, if you are watching this on a replay, please make sure you leave a comment in the comment section so that I know you were here. And finally, you can donate to the channel and or PDawg by going to the PDawg Night Live link. That is in the description down below or in the chat, or it's right there. That big old PDawgnight.live, that's the website, and we do super chats from there. Any comments you put in with your donation will get read on the show. So thank you again for being here. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. If, like I said, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the bell to make sure that you're notified in the future, or you can follow me at PDawgnight on Twitter, Minds, and Gab. Again, thank you very much. My name is PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Have a great day. Hey, this is PDawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here.